Hello, my name is Justin. Thank you for joining me today on my channel, Grace Reset, where we talk about addiction recovery and abundant living. Today we're going to talk about the question, has Powerball fever impaired your judgment? At least once a year, one of the big time lottos in America climbs up into the hundreds of millions, sometimes even over $1 billion. And right now, the Powerball lottery, as of the time of this recording, the jackpot sits at about $820 million. That is a lot of money. Lottery fever is going around. You turn on the news, what are they talking about? The Powerball lottery. You go to the convenience store, they got the big signs up. Jackpot way up high. So a lot of people are catching that Powerball fever right now. One time when I was little, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and I was seeing these images on the wall, images of people that I knew, and they were doing things, and I remember laying there and watching it for a little while, and I knew something wasn't right, so I went and woke my parents up, and I had a very high fever, and it was causing me to hallucinate. And a lot of times when one of these major lotteries gets a very high jackpot, the lottery fever starts going around. Everybody starts hallucinating about what they would do with all that money. I remember one time when I was involved with a lottery pool at my workplace, we would sit around the table and we would just talk about all the wonderful things we would be able to do if we won all that money. And that can be very fun. It can be very exciting. Sometimes that fever hits us really hard, and we start becoming irrational in our thoughts, and we just get obsessed with, I've got to try to win this money, I've got to try to get rich, and our judgment is impaired, and we start making decisions that are not the best decisions for us. You know, a lot of people are able to just buy a ticket every once in a while just for the fun of it. But I read an article in a recent issue of Time magazine that told how there's about 2.5 million adults in America who have a gambling issue, such to the point that they will risk their money without even thinking about the consequences. When the lottery fever hits, there's a lot of people that start spending all their money trying to hit it big. They'll spend their rent money, their food money, their gas money, and then the drawing comes and goes, and they don't win, and they're stuck. One of the addictions that I used to deal with was a gambling addiction. And so I know the feeling all too well of spending all your money and then being broke, trying to figure out how you're going to put gas in your car, how you're going to eat. That's a very difficult position to be in. This morning I read a verse, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 28. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the legacy of fools. When we have a gambling addiction and it causes us to become impaired in our judgment, we oftentimes make very foolish decisions, and we end up having to live in shame. I've been there and done that. And if you've been there and done that, then we've got something in common. We know what that feeling is all about. So what I want to do today is to encourage you to treat that fever with a little bit of wisdom. Let's think about the lottery logically. I did a search on Google and I was looking for the odds of different things happening. The odds of being struck by lightning, 1 in 1,222,000. And that's an average. Might be a little bit better if you live in Florida or Texas, but that's your average. The odds of being bitten by a shark, 1 in 3.7 million. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen if you go swimming in the ocean. There are those who say that there is no chance of that happening for me because I never go in the ocean. Those people have never watched Sharknado. How about the odds of being killed by a cow? 1 in 112 million. We think about all those things happening and the odds, those are astronomical odds. The chances that the cow is going to kill you tomorrow, I wouldn't even worry about it. What are the odds that you're going to win the Powerball lottery? 1 in over 292 million. Those odds are crazy. You could think about it like this. If every adult in America bought one lottery ticket, one person is going to win. Now, when you think about odds like that, it really doesn't make any sense to just take all of your money, your rent money, your gas money, all of your money, and pour it into that pool for a chance to try to win. Even if you bought 100 tickets, even if you bought 1,000 tickets, the odds are severely stacked against you being able to win. Wisdom says, don't play the lottery. Here's something else for you to think about. If you bought one Powerball ticket for every drawing over the course of the year, you would spend $312. Now that's not pocket change. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that could be very helpful in your budget. But let's say we do something a little bit wiser. Let's say we take that $312 and put it into our 401k at work. Just $312. If you start when you're 20 years old and do that until you retire at the age of 65, and you're going to earn about 10% per year based on the historical returns of the stock market. That $312 a year for 45 years would give you $247,000. Those are pretty good numbers there, aren't they? You're so much better off if you take that money that you would put into the lottery and put it into your retirement account. That's a much wiser choice. When I was bogged down in the mire of gambling addiction, I would spend all of my paycheck on my gambling thrills. Sometimes it was the lottery. Sometimes it was some other things. I'll talk about those in another video later. But it left me feeling foolish. It left me feeling shameful. It left me wanting to just give up on life. But now it's been almost 2 years since I gambled. My life is so much better. I don't live paycheck to paycheck anymore. If I need to get a little bit of extra money to do something, then I have it available because I'm not throwing my money away. I'm not being foolish. And what was it that brought about that freedom in my life? It was God's grace. I would try so hard to break the pattern of going and gambling, and every once in a while I could be successful for a short time, but eventually I would just find myself going right back to it. And it was only when I yielded myself completely to God's grace that I was able to find freedom from that. Something I'm going to share with you often here on my channel is that God loves you. He wants the best for you. He doesn't want to leave you sick with a gambling fever that's going to leave you destitute and naked and wanting to just end it all. He wants you to have abundant life. He wants to bring healing to you. He wants for you to have abundant life. He wants to bring healing into your heart and into your mind. And when we surrender to His grace, when we say, God, I can't do this on my own, I need your help, He will pour His unmerited favor, His grace on us, and He will help us. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean there's not going to be obstacles. But He will help you, and He will give you victory. I'm a testimony to that. So my friends, today, if you've got the itch to go down and buy a bunch of lottery tickets that you don't have any business buying, I want to encourage you right now to pray. Yield yourself over to God and say, God, I need you to help me to overcome this lottery fever that I've got. If this video has been a blessing to you in some way, I hope that you will like the video and subscribe to my channel to come back for more content in the future. And also leave a comment if something has been a blessing to you. My name's Justin, and I'm reminding you to embrace grace and discover the abundant life that God has for you. I hope you have a good day.